Good morning. This is Crystal Grace coming to you on my YouTube channel, Purified by Grace. Today, I'm coming to you because I am wanting to speak with you in regards to the 20th anniversary of September 11th. On September 11th, 2001, terrorists hijacked planes and overtook and committed horrendous atrocities. These happened at the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, as well as in a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Many people have lost their lives, including first responders and people who were just on planes trying to get to their destination. September 11th has really left a mark on the United States. September 11th will always be in our hearts and our minds. I can remember on September 11th of 2001, I was a junior in high school. I can remember I was sitting inside of my vocational class and I looked up on the screen, and according to what I saw on the news, I saw images of what happened. I saw planes running into the Twin Towers. I can also remember seeing then President George W. Bush sitting in a classroom in Florida when he received the news of what was going on. And I can remember the look on his face. I was just a kid then, just a teenager. But I also decided that I would take an oath of enlistment to join the United States Army. I decided that I would defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. It was only 4 days after the events of September 11th in 2001 that I decided to answer the call. Everyone who has taken the oath of enlistment to serve in the United States Armed Forces has sworn to defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. We often get caught up in defeating foreign terrorists that we overlook domestic terrorism that is happening right here at home in the United States. A well-known example of domestic terrorism is white supremacy, racism, misogyny, sexism, religious discrimination, xenophobia, family responsibility discrimination, to include service members who are afraid to go to their leadership when they're having mental issues or even personal problems. Another form of terrorism that's happening and is happening in the military is harassment, sexual harassment, sexual assault, which results in MST, which is military sexual trauma. When serving with people to your left and right, we should be able to count on each other and not experience friendly fire from people whom we serve alongside. This is where I will get into speaking on the battlefield of the mind briefly. Battlefield of the mind starts in the mind. This is why we're having these physical wars that are going on, because the battlefield is starting in the mind. From misplaced thoughts, misplaced ideologies that are taught. Therefore, warped thoughts form and devastating actions are carried out. The battle is to grab a hold of your mind and to take you captive for you to become its prisoner. The enemy from within. We have to be much stronger than allowing these thoughts that are coming from actually evil spiritual forces. Ephesians chapter 6 speaks on how we need to be ready for war, spiritual warfare, that is. In the United States military, we train for physical wars, but there is also a spiritual battle that we must consider. This is the start, the spiritual wars that are going on in the minds. This is actually the start of where these physical wars are actually taking place. It results in the mind, then it becomes a physical action that leaves devastation. Ephesians chapter 6 says, "Finally, be strengthened by the Lord and by his vast strength. Put on the full armor of God so that you can stand against the tactics of the devil. For our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the world powers of this darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavens. This is why you must take up the full armor of God, so that you may be able to stand in the evil day, and having prepared everything to take your stand. Stand therefore with truth like a belt around your waist, righteousness like armor on your chest, and your feet sandaled with readiness for the gospel of peace. In every situation, take the shield of faith. With it, you will be able to extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God." This is Ephesians chapter 6, verse 10 through 17. In order for us to stop having these physical wars, we need to deal with these spiritual battles that we keep having, that we keep experiencing within our minds. Unless we stand strong and take captive these thoughts, we're going to keep having these physical wars. And like we just read that our battle is not against flesh and blood. Our battle is not against each other, against someone mistreating us. It's the spirit behind by which we're receiving these actions. These actions are happening. So once we can get a hold of the spiritual battle that's taking place in our own minds, then we're going to keep having these physical wars. I encourage each person to take time and remember the lives that were lost on September 11th. Also, keep in mind the families that have suffered loss. Keep them in your thoughts and prayers. Hold them close to your heart and pray that they will be comforted in their time of need. Thank you, and I hope you were encouraged by this message.